Sonja, what did you think of the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water?
I think it was pretty good, but they did I feel like they did false advertising with saying it was all going to be in 3D, and then it was just the third act.
Well, even though it had the biggest focus, well, the thing is, even though Sponge Out of Water had the biggest, I know that compared to Pressure, Rodeo Days, and the first SpongeBob SquarePants movie, yes, the main characters going out of water had a much bigger focus. It was a much bigger focus of the story of Sponge Out of Water compared to those other three stories. But at the same time, I'm sure the people who wrote Sponge Out of Water knew that having the main characters be a CG character, be in CG form above water, wasn't really enough to sustain an entire movie's runtime.
That is true.
So you should really, if you really want to watch Sponge Out of Water again, it's important to really think about it's really more about the journey of what happens, like SpongeBob and Plankton trying to figure out where the Krabby Patty formula disappeared to before they travel above water.
Mm-hmm. I do think it was a really funny movie, though.
Was it even funnier than the first SpongeBob SquarePants movie? I mean, Sponge Out of Water definitely had more usage for the main characters, and it shows familiar characters and settings than the first SpongeBob movie had.
That is true. They were really creative with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, you see, the thing about Sponge Out of Water is, what I really like about Sponge Out of Water is, Sponge Out of Water was a unique success for its time because it has an ambitious story with because it tells an ambitious story that brings 2D animation, that brings hand-drawn animation back to the big screen by having that be a majority of the movie. It relies on the Sponge Out of Water is a unique success for its time because it tells an ambitious story that relies on the strength of the SpongeBob brand to bring hand-drawn animation back to the big screen for the majority of it. It relies on it focuses on the show's familiar character settings and 2D animation for the first half of it, and then we get to the stop motion animation and the CG animation in the second half with because Bubbles, the dolphin wizard from the future, is animated stop motion, and the main SpongeBob characters are computer animated when they go above water.
I agree. I think we do need a lot more 2D hand-drawn animation in the theaters.
You also agree? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure that it'd be great to have a variety of both mediums of animation. What's really terrific about Sponge Out of Water? Unlike Space Jam: A New Legacy, which only credited the 3D animators, left out the 2D animators, the Sponge Out of Water does remember to give credit to all four different types of animation teams that it had. There's the traditional, there's the 2D animators who made an upgraded version of SpongeBob's usual hand-drawn animation. There's the stop-motion animators who made Bubbles, the CG animators for when the SpongeBob character travels with water, become superheroes, and whatever that rap battles and characters creating at the end sequence was at the end of Sponge Out of Water. Rap battle sequence and the characters creating at the end, where that was it. Yeah, I'm proud of Sponge Out of Water for remembering to credit all four animation teams. And it's also true for the Camp Coral episode, Kitchen Sponge, in which it's animated in the Camp. Most of it is animated in Camp Coral's usual 3D animation, but then they go back to SpongeBob's 2D animation in the final minute, and that specific Camp Coral episode, remember to credit both animation teams of SpongeBob SquarePants, the 3D team from Camp Coral and the 2D team from the SpongeBob SquarePants and the Patrick Star Show.
Yeah, I think that's very important, making sure to credit everybody.
I agree. So, are you proud of Sponge Out of Water for remembering to credit all four teams of animators, whereas Space Jam: A New Legacy forgot to do that and only credit the CG animators, not the 2D animators like Dave Alvarez?
Yeah, I think that makes it better. I think that's a better thing to do.
Absolutely. And do you think Sponge Out of Water do you think Sponge Out of Water is better or worse than the first SpongeBob SquarePants movie?
I think personally, I just like the first one better, just because I grew up watching it. I always had it on DVD when I was a kid.
Well,
but that's just my personal bias.
I think it's important to watch both movies back to back to see how you feel about them now.
I should do that. I should rewatch them.
Well, have you with me, Sonja? The great team today. Thank you for thank you for sharing your thoughts on Sponge Out of Water. Did you like seeing the main SpongeBob characters becoming superheroes?
Yeah, that was fun. I liked what they were able to do with their character designs.
Oh, me too. I mean, I know we've seen SpongeBob characters travel time before in SP129 and Back to the Past, and we've seen them become superheroes before in Mermaid Man and Remarkable V, and they travel out of water and Impression Rodriguez. But what I really like the most about Sponge Out of Water is that it tells as a movie-length story, it's it's able to combine all those unique concepts for SpongeBob SquarePants again with a longer story that can fully embrace all three of those concepts. So, I really liked how SpongeBob Underwater shows what you can do, what SpongeBob SquarePants writers can do when they can tell, when they can tell an ambitious, unique story that's true to the series with the full runtime of a movie.
Yeah, well, thank you.
You're welcome.